Assalamu alaikum students. Up till now we have studied about propositional logic which argues about the individual values. Now we are interested to argue about the set of values, and for such purpose we use predicate logic instead of propositional logic. In today's lecture we will discuss about the predicates, how the predicates are formed, and how the predicates can be converted into a quantified statement. And at the end of this lecture we will discuss about the negation of quantified statements. I mentioned earlier that one of the limitations with the propositional logic is that it allows us to argue about the individual values, and it doesn't give us the ability to argue about the set of values. In order to reasoning about the set of values, a more powerful tool than the propositional logic has been devised, which is known as predicate logic. A predicate is a sentence or a truth-valued expression containing variables which are known as free variables. The variables allow the expression to be evaluated by giving different values to them. Once the variables are evaluated, they are said to be bound. A predicate is a sentence that contains a finite number of variables, and it becomes a statement when specific values are substituted for the variables, and these values come from domain, and the domain of a predicate variable is the set of all values that may be substituted in place of the variable. Students, we have discussed earlier that a predicate is a truth valued expression containing a variable or a set of variables, and each variable in a predicate has an associated domain, and the values of the domain are substituted in place of variables. And when we substitute a value from the domain in place of variable in a predicate, then it becomes a statement. And as you know, a logical statement returns a truth value, and set of all those values of domain which returns the truth value true is known as a truth set for that domain and for that predicate. If a predicate Px has a domain D, then the truth set of predicate Px is a set of all elements of D that make a predicate Px true when they are substituted for x, and the truth set for Px is represented by this set. Let us explain the concept of a predicate and its domain with the example. Let Px be a predicate which is actually x square is greater than x, and this predicate has only one variable which is x, and that x variable has a domain which is set of real numbers, and we want to substitute some values from the domain R in place of variable x, and we will get statements, and those statements would be either true or false. Now we want to write the statements by substituting value 2 in place of x, and by substituting value 1 by 2 in place of x, and we want to substitute a value minus 1 by 2 in place of x. And you can see that when we substitute a value 2 from the domain R, then we will get 2 square is greater than 2, which is 4, and 4 is greater than 2 is true. And when we put a value 1 by 2 from domain, and 1 by 2 square is 1 by 4, which is 1 by 4 is greater than 1 by 2 is false. And when we put a value minus 1 by 2 from domain R, and we will get the statement 1 by 4 is greater than minus 1 by 2, which is true. Student, it is important to mention here, for a predicate variables, we have a domain, and if there are, for example, 50 elements in a domain, then we can get 50 different statements, and those statements would be either true or false. And in this case, we have a domain R, and there are uh, unlimited members, and therefore we can get so many statements for the given predicate x square is greater than x. Now we take another example. Let Qn be a predicate, n is a factor of 8, and find the truth set of Qn if the domain for the variable n in a predicate is a set of all positive integers, and its B part is if the domain of variable n is a set of all integers, which is denoted by z. Students, now we want to get the truth set. Therefore, those value in domain z plus which make the predicate true would be the part of our truth set. And for part A, if we substitute 1 in place of variable n, and 1 is a factor of 8, yes, and it make the predicate true, therefore the value 1 would be the part of our truth set. And 2, if we place 2, and 2 is a factor of 8, yes, 2 is a factor of 8, the statement would be true, therefore 2 is also the part of our truth set. And if we place 3, then 3 is a factor of 8, is it true? No, students, 3 is not a factor of 8, therefore 3 would not be the part of our truth set. And if we place 4 in place of n, then 4 is a factor of 8, yes, 4 is a factor of 8, and 4 would be the part of our truth set. Similarly, we substitute 8 from the domain in place of n, then 8 is a factor of 8, yes, 8 divides 8, therefore 8 is a factor of 8, and it would be part of our truth set. Similarly, if we change the domain from the set of all positive integers to set of all integers, then we can also consider some negative values from the domain which make the predicate true. So for the part B, our truth set would be given as follows. Students, we have discussed earlier that a predicate is an expression or a sentence having free variables, and how can we bind these free variables? The first method is by substituting values from the domain associated with variable. For example, if we have a predicate px is equal to x square greater than x, and if we substitute value 2 in place of x, then we get a statement 2 square is greater than 2, which is true. Other method is quantification of the set of values in a domain which satisfy the predicate, and we a quantifier is a mechanism for specifying an expression about a set of values. Students, quantification is a method of binding free variables of a predicate, and by applying the quantification to predicate, it becomes a statement which is either true or false. The first type of quantification is known as a universal quantifier, which is represented by symbol given here. And universal quantifier basically quantifies all the values of the domain, and if all the values of the domain make the predicate true, then the statement with the universal quantifier would be true. Let Qx be a predicate and D the domain of variable x. A universal quantifier statement is a statement of the form, and we call the universal quantifier as for all. Therefore, for all x belongs to D such that Qx, which is a predicate, it is defined to be true, and if and only if Qx is true for every value of x in D, it is defined to be false if and only if Qx is false for at least one value of x in domain D. A value for x for which Qx is false is called a counterexample to the universal statement. Now consider an example of the quantified statement with the universal quantifier, which is for all x belongs to D and predicate is x square is greater than or equal to x. And domain D has following members or following values. Now you need to show that whether the quantified statement with the universal quantifier is true. In order to prove that the universal quantifier statement is true, you need to substitute every value of the domain in a variable given a domain, and if for each value of the domain the statement is true, then it is proved that the universal quantified statement is true. So you need to perform this exercise. In second example, we have another universal quantified statement, which is for all x belongs to R, x square greater than or equal to x, and x square greater than or equal to x is a predicate, and R is a domain, and x is bound with the quantifier. So there is no free variable, and to show that it is true, you need to put each and every possible value of the domain, but it would not be possible. And in other case, in order to show that it is false, you need to uh, show a counterexample, or you need to find a counterexample from the domain which actually make the predicate statement with false. Students, we have a syntax to represent a universally quantified statement with a constraint. For example, we have an example of universal quantification in which declaration is modified by a constraint and there is no free variable. We have uh, a universal quantified statement which is for all n of type n, which is set of natural numbers. And this pipe sign is basically used as a constraint bar, and after the constraint bar there is a constraint on a domain that we will consider only those members of the domain which are less than or equal to 10, and this is a separator which is bold mark which actually separate from the constraint to the predicate. And after separator we have a predicate which is actually n square is less than or equal to 100. So we will consider only those values which actually satisfy this constraint. We might read informally as for every natural number n less than or equal to 10, n squared is less than or equal to 100, or every natural number less than or equal to 10 has a square less than or equal to 100. So the question is about its truth value of the universal quantified statement, whether the given universal quantified statement is true or false. So answer is it is true, because there is a constraint on a domain and we will consider only first 10 values in the domain including 0, and the square of these values would be less than or equal to 100. Therefore all the values with the constraint satisfying the property or predicate, therefore the truth value of the universal quantified statement is true. Students, now we present the universal quantified statement representation in Z formal language. We have a declaration part for the universal quantified statement, and after the uh, pipe sign we have a constraint, and after the bold dot we have a predicate. So in a declaration part, D represent declarations and P represents a predicate acting as a constraint, and Q represent the predicate being quantified. So this is basically generic representation of universally quantified statements in Z. Students, if we have a predicate, all the natural numbers are bigger than 0, we can write this formally as for all n of type natural numbers or n is greater than 0. More generally, the universal quantified statement are represented by for all x of type x, where x is a domain for variable x and px is a predicate. And we have discussed earlier that universal quantifier basically quantifies all the values of the domain. For example, in domain x there are n values, and if we substitute n values in place of x in the predicate, we will get n propositions or n statements, and if all the n propositions are true, then the whole universal quantifier statement would be true. Therefore we use AND operator between the statements after substituting values from the domain. So this is an exercise for you. Are the following predicates are true or false? So first predicate, for all n of type natural numbers, n square is greater than n. So this is not true. because we have uh, member 0 from the domain n, and 0 square is not greater than 0. Therefore there is a counterexample, and this value from the domain works as a counterexample, and this statement is false. Similarly, we have another example for all n of type natural numbers, and this is a predicate after the separator, which actually n square is equal to n implies n is 0 or n is equal to 1. And let's consider the first value 0, and 0 square is equal to 0, and n is 0. This is true implies 2 is true, and we now consider 1 square is equal to 1, and 1 is 0 or 1 is 1, so true implies 2, again true. And now we consider 2. 2 square is 4. 4 is equal to 2 is false, and false implies false. It is again true. So for each value of domain n, the statement is true. Therefore, uh, this universal quantified statement is true. Students, now we are going to represent the universal quantified statement with a constraint into a implicit quantification. To do that, observe that the two statements. The first statement is for all real numbers x, if x is an integer, then x is a rational. For the first statement, a real number is a domain for variable x. Now consider a second statement. For all integer x, x is rational. And it has same meaning because we narrow down the domain which is real number into an integer, and we get the same meaning, and this is known as implicit quantification. All integers are rational. In fact, a statement of the form for all x of type u, which is a domain, if px then qx. So this is a universal quantified statement, and it can always be rewritten in the form of for all x of type d of with domain qx, and we narrow down the domain u into d. By narrowing u to be the domain d consisting of all values of the variable x that make px true. Conversely, a statement of the form for all x of type d with the predicate qx can be rewritten as for all x, if x is in d, then qx. We have an example of implicit quantification. Let's consider a universal quantified statement with a constraint for all n of type natural numbers with constraint n is less than or equal to 10. This is a constraint on the domain, and the predicate is n square is less than or equal to 100. And without a constraint, we can convert this universal quantified statement into a implicit quantification. Now the constraint becomes the if part of the predicate. Now there is no constraint, and we have a predicate after this separator black dot, and you can see that we actually convert the constraint into a if part, which is now for all n of type natural numbers, if n is less than equal to 10, then its square is less than equal to 100. Actually what we are going to do here, we actually considering the first 10 values of natural numbers which are from 0 to 10, and we actually making uh, these values in a set A as a domain, and now we have narrowed down the domain, and we have another equivalent universal quantifier statement which is for all n of type A, which is given here as a domain. And now our predicate is n square is less than or equal to 100. Students, now we do a practice for making universal quantifier statement with a constant into a implicit quantification. Our first example is for all n of type natural numbers with constant n is less than equal to 10, and our predicate is n square less than equal to 100. And we can make a constant into the part of predicate, and we have its implicit representation in the form of for all n of type n, and if n is less than equal to 10, then n square is less than equal to 100. We have another example with the different domain set of all integers for all n of type set of integers, and this is a constraint that n is greater than equal to 0. So we are actually making a constant over on our domain, and this is our predicate. And if we make our constant as a part of our predicate, then it would becomes implicit quantification for the universal quantifier statement. Now you can see that uh, this become an if part of the predicate, and our original predicate is now in the then part of the whole predicate. And similarly, we can make a constraint from this implicit quantification, and we can make a, constraint that n n is less than equal to 10, and if n is greater than 0, then n square is less than equal to 100. So it is important to mention here that all the universal quantifier statements are true, because for the uh, each and every value of the domain, uh, the statement becomes a true. Therefore all the statements with universal quantifier are true. Students, we have discussed earlier that a predicate is a is an expression or a sentence having free variables, and we can bind these free variables with quantifiers. And we have another quantifier known as the existential quantifier, represented by this symbol given in the slide. And this existential quantifier basically quantifies at least one value in the set domain which make the predicate true. If at least one value of the domain makes the predicate true, then the existential quantified statement would be true. Let Qx be a predicate and D the domain of variable x. An existential statement is a statement of the form, and we call the existential quantifier as there exist, and therefore we call it there exist x belongs to D such that predicate Qx, it is defined to be true if and only if Qx is true for at least one value of x in domain D. It is false if and only if Qx is false for all values of x in domain D. Students, now we understand the semantics of the existential quantified statement. Let us consider a predicate. There is a natural number bigger than 0. We can write this formally as there exist n of type natural numbers such that n is greater than 0, and we have uh, existential quantified statement. There exists x of type x where x is a domain such that px is a predicate uh, having variable x. So x is bind with the quantifier, and if we have n values in the domain, and if we substitute all these n values in the domain, and if at least one value of the domain uh, make the predicate true, then the whole quantify statement would be true. Therefore, we place a disjunction operator between the propositions or statements after substituting the values from the domain. We have two quantified statements, and we need to show that either it is true or false. The first quantified statement is there exists x of type n uh, such that x is equal to x plus 1. Students, you cannot find a single value from the domain which make it satisfied that x is equal to x plus 1. Therefore, there is no single value in the domain. Therefore, this is false. And the next is for all values of domain n, there exist uh, y of type n such that y is greater than x. This is again false because we cannot uh, find a value in the domain n which is greater than all the values of natural numbers. Students, now we discuss about the membership quantification. Consider a predicate x belongs to capital X, and this predicate is true if x is in the set X. For example, if A is a member of this set, then it is true. And the predicate would be false if X is not in the set of X. For example, D is not the member of this set, therefore it is false. And students, you must notice the difference between the colon sign and the belongs to sign, belongs to symbol. For example, you have a universal quantifier statement where for all x of type z, here x of type z declares a new variable x of the type integers. But if we have x is a member of n is a predicate which is true or false depending upon the value of the uh, previously declared variable x. Students, if we have a quantifier statement with the existential quantifier along with a constraint, then we can represent such kind of quantifier statement into the form of implicit quantification, mean to say without any constraint. Therefore, if we have a quantifier statement with the existential quantifier in this form where p is a constraint, and we can convert this constraint into the part of the predicate, and if we convert this statement into a statement without constraint, then we will write there exists t with the predicate p and q, and the constraint predicate would be the part of the original predicate q with the operator and. There are few examples of implicit quantification of the quantifier statement with existential quantifier. The first example is there exist n of type natural numbers with the constraint n is less than equal to 10 and the predicate is n square is equal to 64. And if we remove the constant, and the constant would be part of the predicate, and now we have an implicit representation with the quantifier there exist. Similarly, you can see all the examples that how actually the constant becomes a part of the predicate, and you can observe that all the uh, quantify statement with existential quantifier are true. Friends, now we have a third type of quantifier which is known as unique existential quantifier, which actually quantifies a single value in the domain if one and only one value of the domain makes the predicate true, then the quantifier statement would be true. The unique existential quantifier allows us to introduce a notation to formalize the informal notion of there being only one thing of a certain kind. The sign there exists with one is called the unique existential quantifier, and this whole predicate is called a unique existential quantification. The heavy dot and constant bar might also appear. The generic form of the quantify statement with unique existential quantifier is there exists one D with constant bar P such that predicate Q. For example, if we say that there is exactly one integer greater than 0 whose square is 100, we might write there exists only one x of type integers such that x is greater than 0 and x square is equal to 100. So uh, according to the predicate, there is only one value of the domain z which actually make the predicate true, which is 10. 10 is greater than 0 and 10 square is 100. There is no other value of domain which actually make the predicate true. Therefore, this quantify statement with unique existential quantifier is true. Friends, let us consider an example of the predicate with the universal quantification that all the values in the domain are greater than 10. If we want to negate this universal quantifier statement, then we must say that at least one value in the domain which is less than 10. So whenever we negate a universal quantified statement, we need to use at least one, which is actually existential quantifier. So there is a relationship between universal and existential quantification. Universal quantification expresses a property of all objects in a class, while existential quantification asserts at least one object in a class has that property. An assertion that not all objects in a class have a particular property is also an assertion that at least one object in the class does not have that property. Formally, this means that by applying the negation on for all with the property, it would become there exist with the negation of that property. Now consider an example of the negation of universally quantified statement. We have a universally quantified statement. Every natural number greater than 5 has a square that is greater than 100. We have a constant on the domain that every natural number which is greater than 5. And if we negate the universal quantified statement then we have some natural numbers which are greater than 5 are less than equal to 100, whose square is less than equal to 100. More generally, whenever we apply the negation on universal quantified statement, then the for all quantifier becomes there exist quantifier and constraint remain the same, and we apply the negation on the predicate. Students, in order to understand the concept of negation of existential quantified statement, let us consider an example. There exists at least one student in the class with CGPA 3.9, and this statement contains uh, existential quantification because we mentioned there exists at least one student in the class. In order to negate this statement, you must say that all the students in the class do not have CGPA 3.9. Therefore, uh, by negating the existential quantified statement, you have to mention all the students. Therefore, whenever you apply the negation on existential quantified statements, you actually convert the existential quantifier into a universal quantifier. Similarly, an assertion that there doesn't exist an object which has a property is equivalent to an assertion that all the objects do not have that property. Formally, this means that the negation of existential quantifier with the property is equivalent to the universal quantifier with the negation of that property. Let us practice the concept of negation through some examples. Uh, if we apply the negation on the universal quantified statement that for all processes of type processes and process state is active, and if we apply the negation, then the universal quantifier will be converted into existential quantifier, and we say that there exists process of type processes that not the process state is active. And if we apply the negation on the existential quantified statement that there exists I of type natural number I square is equal to 100, and by applying the negation, the existential quantifier is converted into universal quantifier, and negation is applied on a predicate which is I square is equal to 100. Now again we apply the negation on the existential quantified statement that there exists reactor of type reactors. The reactor state is active and line status is online, and whenever we apply the negation on this quantified statement, the existential quantifier is converted into universal quantifier, and for all reactor of type reactors, no reactor state is active or and has been converted into or, and no line status is online. This lecture concluded on that predicates are truth value expressions or uh, free variable sentence, and the predicate becomes a statement when we substitute value of variables from the domain. Then we discuss another method of bounding predicate variables with quantification, and we used three type of quantifiers which include universal quantifier, existential quantifier, and unique existential quantifier. Then we learned the concept of negation of quantified statements, and we learned that whenever we apply the negation on the universal quantified statement, the universal quantifier is converted into an existential quantifier, and whenever we apply the negation on the existential quantifier statement, the existential quantifier is converted into universal quantifier. The concept and contents of this lecture are taken from the section 3.3 in chapter number 3 of the book Software Development with Z, and chapter number 2 of the book Formal Software Development from Medium to Java. And you must read section number 3.3 and chapter number 2 of both the books. And that's all for today's lecture. Allah Hafiz.